This is Mayor Shave. It is when, oh, City Clerk Soul, is the recording on?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. This is Mayor Shave, and it's Wednesday, February 10th, 2021 at 7:53 p.m., and I call the council meeting to order. For public comment, a period is included during the Zoom video meetings. The public was notified that if they wish to speak during the meeting, an email be sent to Patricia Soul, City Clerk, and indicate if they would like to speak or have the clerk read the comment. If they desire to comment, they will be called on during the meeting and allowed to speak for 3 minutes. So let's open the meeting with a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Andrews,
Here.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes, here.
Councilmember Francie,
Here.
Councilmember Gordon,
Here.
Councilmember Cashman,
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Present.
Councilmember Mackey,
Here.
Councilmember Richrod,
Here.
Councilmember Ross,
Here.
Councilmember Shaw,
Here.
Councilmember Short,
Here.
Mayor Shave.
Here,
All are present.
thank you.
Mayor Shave,
Council President Shaw.
I would move that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion carries. Are there any additions or deletions to the meeting? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to public comments. City Clerk Soul, is there any public comments?
Yes, Mayor, we have 3, and we have one person who would like to read his to the council. He is in attendance. Would you like me to allow him to talk?
Yes, please.
And it's Steve Haywood. I'll go ahead and allow him to talk.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. I had to shorten this up because I only have 3 minutes and I read pretty slow. Anyway, I'll start right off in, we need to open for a public meeting. Zoom meetings council been having are supposed to be like a public meeting, only on Zoom. You still have to be professional during an open public meeting. You can't sit there and eat during a public meeting at City Hall. So don't do it on Zoom. You had these Zooms quite a while. You should know how they work. Every meeting I find somebody having a problem connecting to the meeting. For instance, a few meetings ago, person Short could not get in the executive session. And she sat there on Zoom with us waiting for executive session to get over. Now, how is she supposed to make an informed decision if she couldn't even get in the executive session to hear what was being said? This city council is one of the most unprofessional I've ever seen. This city council is not doing things to help the taxpaying citizen relieve the pressure of taxes on the citizen. This council needs to start bringing in businesses, small businesses, companies, corporations, not worried about the nonprofits here in town that say they're helping, but they're not. They're just running people around in circles, wasting the taxpayers' money. There's just over 16,000 residents in Aberdeen. Why on earth do we need 7 or 8 treatment centers? And speaking of treatment centers, the Quinault Nation is putting a center in downtown Aberdeen. Was the public notified that that was going in? Why is the city council working on that when they could be helping the public? You know, they could be bringing in businesses. They could help clean up downtown area. It's really not looking too appealing. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else, Ms. Sol?
Nobody else wanted to speak, but I have two more comments.
Okay,
So this comment was sent to Councilmember Andrews, but I'll go ahead and read it into the record. Councilmember Andrews, good afternoon. Ahead of tonight's meeting, I'm writing you to restate my disagreement in giving any extension / payment to ARM DB.
lost you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You're on mute, Patricia, for some reason.
Disservice to ARM by its director, Mr. SONMORE. I would be surprised if all council members found ARM's performance in presenting at the workshop to be successful. Thank you for your time. Isabel Ramos, Ward 6.
City Clerk Sol, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to ask you to read that again because you broke out on
Oh.
part of it.
Okay, sorry. I'll do it again. This was sent to Councilmember Andrews by Isabel Ramos from Ward 6. Councilmember Andrews, good afternoon. Ahead of tonight's meeting, I am writing to you to restate my disagreement in giving any extension / payment to ARM DBA Main Street until the new contract is negotiated, shared with the public, and voted on. I appreciate the time put in by all for the workshop, but other than understanding that the city is undoubtedly going to continue supporting ARM due to the Main Street designation, I don't feel that I learned any new valuable information about ARM's efforts and thought the workshop was more of a disservice to ARM by its director, Mr. SONMORE. I would be surprised if all council members found ARM's performance in presenting at the workshop to be successful. Thank you for your time. And then there's one, and this one is from Lee First, Twin Harbors Waterkeeper from Cosmopolis. February 9th, 2021. Committee Chair Koshman and Mayor Shave. Concern about stockpile of used artificial turf. As the Twin Harbors waterkeeper, I advocate for fishable, swimmable, drinkable water in the Chehalis watershed, Grays Harbor, Willapa Bay, and the tributaries thereof. My 2-year-old organization is a member of the Waterkeepers Alliance, which is comprised of over 350 waterkeeper organizations around the world. Microplastic and marine debris are a huge problem along the East Coast of Washington. I work on a number of outreach and education programs urging students and the public to avoid single-use plastics and take steps to reduce microplastic. I've worked with 8 local high schools to educate students about plastic pollution. I strongly encourage you to dispose of the used turf at a permitted landfill or transfer station. The material, based on photos in the council packet, has clearly reached the end of its useful lifespan. If it is given away, there's a likelihood that it will be used improperly. If used along a river or stream to prevent erosion, it will continue to release microplastic and small bits of microplastic. It contains harmful chemicals, including but not limited to oh my goodness, I do not know how to pronounce that. Let's just use the initials PFAS chemicals. These pose a serious health concern across our state and have been found in rivers, lakes, fish, and wildlife. Microplastics, the tiny particles of plastic that have made their way throughout the globe, are present in our food, water, and air. They are found in high concentration in beach sand in Grays Harbor County. Furthermore, Grays Harbor County has an uncountable number of illegal dump sites. I've seen many dump sites along Chehalis, the Wishkah, and the Hoquiam River. If the rolls of artificial turf are given away, there is a strong likelihood that they will be dumped over the nearest riverbank when they are no longer useful. Once dumped, they will both contribute to microplastic pollution and will likely keep up as marine debris along our beaches. Please act responsibly and dispose of this material at a permitted landfill or transfer station. Thank you. And that was the last public comment.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to Finance Committee report. Finance Chair Katzman.
Good evening, Mayor Shave and Council. Finance met tonight at 6 o'clock via Zoom. In addition to the agenda items, we had a demo from ClearGov regarding some web-based software that they have available that can link to our site to provide more visibility to transactions, down to really like the item level for maybe checks that the city is cutting. There's lots of visuals and infographics, and some options that might tie into projects that we're doing in public works to keep the community apprised of what's going on within the city for our various projects. And with that, I would move that we approve the expenditures and payroll.
I second.
Motion was made to approve the expenditures and payroll. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call vote, please.
Motion to approve the accounts payable in the total amount of $1,368,2369 and payroll in the total amount of $848,6752. Check numbers 25037 through 25055 and 72005-72182 and wires 1234 through 1241. And I'll conduct the roll call vote. Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Francie,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon,
Yes.
Councilmember Costa,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Mackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Richrod,
Yes.
Councilmember Ross,
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Short.
Yes.
Unanimous approval.
Next, I would like to make a motion to take from the table the report from Finance and the Community Development Director recommending that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign the amendment with Aberdeen Revitalization Movement, DBA Main Street, for the professional services agreement to extend the term of the agreement to February 28th, 2021 for an additional sum of $10,000.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve this report. Is there any discussion?
No.
Under
Point of order, Mayor.
discussion,
No.
pull from the table.
The motion was, say again, please, I'm sorry.
It was to take from the table this
Okay, I
from the
got it.
prior council meeting. Yeah.
Motion was made and seconded to remove the issue of Main Street from the table. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
I would move that we accept the report from Finance and the Community Development Director for the item that was just taken from the table.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the Main Street report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, I've read through the 2017 agreement that the city had with the Downtown Association. And I think this year we have an opportunity to update it and make it a bit better, to clarify things such as deliverables and the scheduling of deliverables and who a point of contact is between the city and ARM. And it just seems like it can be tightened up and made into a much better document that better serves all parties involved. The Downtown Association does some wonderful work and work that the city can't take on. And by investing in them, this gives us a way of investing in our business community and making sure they get some much needed support, especially at this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you very much. I have to agree with some parts of what Councilmember Ellis said and disagree with some others. You know, I have gone over this issue. I've gone over the past contract with ARM, now DAA. And though I, you know, strongly support the mainstream objective and our Main Street objective and keeping a part of that, my personal opinion is this whole contract needs to be completely rethought out. There's a lot of overlap in what that contract states that ARM is supposed to do, that we also have GGHI doing. And I also, you know, based off of what I have, conversations I've had with community business owners and other community organizations that ARM has been supposed to have been helping out and doing stuff with, I believe they've really fallen short of, you know, the expectations that I would have had of them. So, you know, I personally don't feel comfortable giving them any money at this point until we have an actual contract in place.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Ross.
Well, I would just like to say that Lisa is working on a proposal, I believe, and we know that there's been questions and suggestions brought forth. And we've taken a good look at some of the other contracts around the state of Washington with the cities and have some pretty good ideas. So I believe ultimately it's up to the staff to put this together, and then we'll have a chance to review it. And if we're still unhappy or have more suggestions, then we can bring them up at that time. I definitely want to see this. I want to see this move forward because I think it's important for the city to have that relationship. Thank you.
Councilmember Andrews.
So I'm going to mirror what Nathan said, Councilman Kennedy. I've had way too many downtown business owners approach me lately, and they're all not getting any deliverables from Main Street or ARM. And so I have a concern with that. So I'm going to vote no, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilmember Richrod.
As some of you may know, I sit on the board of the Downtown Association and on the City Council, and therefore will recuse myself from any vote concerning finance.
Councilmember Shaw.
Mayor Shave, thank you. I think I'm hearing a council that wants an improved relationship, not a council that wants to do away with Main Street. So it strikes me that we can, you know, these are growing pains, but I don't think it helps improve. It doesn't feel like the high road to cut off their funding for a couple of months while we try and come to an agreement on a longer term arrangement. I think that the right feels to me like the you know, if we cut, it just doesn't, it feels like the right thing to me, if we're bringing this stuff up and we didn't bring it up the whole time until, you know, a few weeks ago, they've not had a chance to do any course corrections. And so I think that as the mayor and Lisa go out with some guidance on bringing us back a contract for consideration, we should, I just feel like we need to we shouldn't cut off their funding because we can, because.
Okay. Councilmember Catchman.
Yeah, I agree with what Councilmember Shaw is saying. I think that there is certainly opportunity in an agreement that's brought forward to bring into account some of the concerns that we have heard from small business owners. And I know too that in a lot of instances, you hear a lot of the opportunities and we don't hear a lot of the successes. So I hope that we can weigh in to the decision tonight, some of the successes that we have seen with the incorporation of Downtown Aberdeen Association in our city corridor. And there's certainly, like I said, opportunities for improvement. And I hope that the city can continue to work towards a future agreement that mirrors some of what other cities expect of their downtown associations. So we all have the same goal in mind here. I think everybody on the council wants to continue to improve the downtown corridor. I know the business owners want to see that. And I know Downtown Aberdeen Association, as well as all those other stakeholders out there. I just think that there's more opportunity for additional conversations. And I think keeping their funding in place so that we can have those assures that they can keep their doors open so that there is an opportunity to improve and put a contract forth.
Thank you. Anybody who hasn't commented and wants to comment? Councilmember Gordon?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, you can. I agree that we need some changes down there, but you can't starve them out. So the program shuts down while we're trying to, have them adjust the program to fit what we need. So I do agree with our last couple of speakers that we should fund them until, if it's a short period, 3 months or whatever, Lisa, and you need to get the program going the way you think it should be for the city. So I'm going to vote to give them a short-term funding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Short?
I would agree with Frank's assessment. A short-term funding, get some direction and so on. And short-term being not farther than the end of April.
Okay, thank you. I have a procedure question to Patrice Kent, if she's available here.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Mayor Shave. Yeah.
Does Alan, do you think Alan needs to recuse himself actually in this case? There's no monetary issue for voluntary board members or anything.
He sits on the board that will get, he is sitting on the board, and so he will get, I think it's the best idea, yes, to recuse. There's a short answer to that.
Okay, that's good enough.
Based on his management. Thank
bet.
you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ellis.
The way that the proposal is written, we would extend funding through the end of February. And I think this was written maybe at the end of last year or the very beginning of this year. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like we'd be willing to tack on a little more time to this. Does that require an amendment?
If this was going to be amended past what it reads here, then yes. I mean, it's only till the end of February. So if you want to amend it to take it for another extra month because of the delay, then it has to be amended.
May I ask Director Scott to weigh in on how long
Yes,
she would recommend?
Director Scott.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis, Mayor, City Council. No, I believe we're just looking for an extension for the end of February, and we are looking to have the mayor and I, working with the Downtown Aberdeen Association, are looking to have a draft agreement back to city council on the 24th of this month for review. So at this point, I am hopeful we will have an agreement to come forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Shaw.
I would suggest that, given what I'm hearing, that it's not a slam dunk, you're going to get that contract through on the same night. I think an extension, there might be some discussion. So if, I think it might be a good idea to extend it. I would offer an amendment to extend it to the end of March.
Would make a second on that.
A motion was made and seconded to extend to the end of March, to amend the report and extend it through to the end of March. Is there any other discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Oppose?
No,
No.
I think the ayes have it.
Mhm.
So the original motion is on the amended motion now to pass is that, as the report reads, with the agreement to March 28th, 2021, that is the amendment.
With funding.
Yes. Is there any discussion on? Seeing none, all in favor of the report as amended? Say
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. The report is passed with the change from February 28th to March 28th. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Next, we have a report from the Finance and the Parks Director recommending that the City Council declare the artificial turf currently stored at the seaport as surplus to the City of Aberdeen, and that there is a public benefit to making the surplus turf available at no cost on a first-come, first-served basis on a date announced in the Daily World and on the city's websites and social media, and authorizing the Parks Director to take related necessary actions. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you. If you would indulge me, I'm going to read a statement. I'm concerned that giving away the remnant artificial turf that was gifted to the city in 2015 does not represent a public benefit. The rolls that are left over from the original gift have holes and are not suitable for use for large play fields. Smaller pieces could be repurposed for use in residential or even business settings, but I would prefer to see the city pay the fee of just under $5,000 to LeMay to haul the leftover artificial turf to a suitable recycling facility or landfill. I've since learned that this is really hard to recycle material, so most likely it would be landfill. We're looking at the potential of 40,000 square feet of impervious artificial turf being repurposed. This will increase surface water runoff, and it may be improperly used for retaining soil. As was reported in the Seattle Times in September 2020, when a private dam owner was ordered to remove the artificial turf that he installed, and that was discovered by the Puyallup tribe. The artificial turf is made from and associated with plastics and fire retardants. That's the PFAS, are non-stick carcinogenic chemicals used to treat the molds that are used to make the blades of artificial grass. and this chemical remains bound to the turf. The leaves are made from a mix of polyethylene, polyester, polypropylene, and as these materials degrade, some say the useful life of the turf is actually 8 years and not the 15 to 20 that may come when it's brand new. But as this degrades, it adds to microplastic pollution in the air, waterways, and the ocean. These dangerous PFAs and microplastics are being found increasingly in fish, hitchhike on the turf, and later leach into groundwater and continue to adhere to fine plastic particles that become airborne or end up in waterways. Increasingly, these are found in nature and in humans. Once given away, this gift could come back to haunt us. I ask that the city do the right thing and take responsibility for proper disposal while we can ensure the material stays out of our waterways, forest lands, and water treatment facilities. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you very much. Everybody knows I'm always a proponent of recycling, reusing, repurposing, that kind of thing. But in the case of this particular material, I think we would be potentially setting ourselves up for, a much more disastrous cleanup later on if we allow this stuff out in the wild, as it were. Also, the city has determined that it has no purpose for it and that it's at the end of its life. So I really don't feel comfortable, giving this out to anybody in the public that would not know how to dispose of it properly, or could possibly even, wind up being exposed to something that's contained in this material and come back at the city, for, whatever they might catch from it. So I would actually be a proponent of, of paying the disposal fee and just getting rid of this stuff rather than trying to push it off on other people.
Thank you. Councilmember Catchman.
I agree with what Council Person Ellis and Kennedy stated, and as a good steward to our city and watershed, I would rather support the most environmentally friendly way of disposing of this product. And I would add that during Finance Committee, Director Barnum did state that she has been in contact with various organizations. So if this it does not go through, she is prepared to come back to council with a report for cost estimates at likely the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Joshua Francie.
Well, last meeting I talked about the dangers of microplastics, but the PFASs are actually more dangerous in this situation. I'm at the CDC's website right now, and it says PFAS may lead to the following: increased cholesterol levels, change in liver enzymes, small decreases in infant birth weights, decreased vaccine response in children, increased risk of high blood pressure and preeclampsia in pregnant women, increased risk of kidney and testicular cancer. So I'm gonna vote against this. I hope you all join me in that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye. All opposed?
Hey.
Hey.
The noes have it. The report did not pass.
All right, final thing is a report from Finance and the Parks Director recommending that the City Council authorize the Parks Directors to submit an RFQ for an RV park consultant and authorize the mayor to negotiate a contract with a selected firm not to exceed $50,000. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, I just have a comment. This idea, this plan, for those of you that are fairly new on the council, I can remember this being a want of the public in this city 15 years ago or more. It's been something that's been wanted for a long, long time. And the possibility of it actually happening is looking real good here. So any other discussion?
Oh, yes.
Councilmember Richrod.
I had a question for Dr. Barnum. You mentioned in the meeting that there was that you had moved the RV park. Did you move the idea move the position of the park on the site, or did you move it to a different site?
It's still at the Bishop Athletic Complex property that's adjacent to the complex. So a
okay.
different location on the same site. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
I think this project sounds really interesting, and in support of our stewardship of our waterways, I would hope that the consultants would help guide the design towards having the least amount of impervious space, and that we get regular updates on this as it goes forward.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the report is adopted.
And that's it from the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Committee Chair Catchman. Let's move on to Public Works. Councilmember Kennedy.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Mayor. Yesterday at 4 o'clock, the Public Committee met via Zoom, and we had a lot of really good discussion. One of the things that I'm really happy about with the members of this committee is that we always have a lot of really good information brought up and a lot of really good clarifying conversation, which is always helpful. One of the things that we did talk about was an issue that happened the previous day with some water pressure going down and some sediment coming through some people's pipes. And that it was one of the main things on social media was that they were really curious why the city didn't have anything posted to our website or social media or anything like that. And Director Sanger was able to clarify that those notifications are really easy to send out during the day because the people that send those are actually working, but at night, if something like this happens, they're really focused on figuring out where and what the problem is and getting it fixed. But they are going to look into, putting in some policies so that they can get some notification out to the public when something like this happens. So there isn't so much guesswork going on Facebook and other social platforms. And with that, I am going to go ahead. A couple of the other things we talked about under the new business portion was also putting hyperlinks to some of the documentation that's referenced in our reports, so that when we get the agendas, instead of trying to go and find, the part in the ordinance or, something that isn't included in the additional documentation, you can just click a link and it'll take you to a part on our website or wherever else you need to go. So hopefully that'll help us council members find that information and the public find that information a lot faster. With that, we'll go ahead and move on. We have a public hearing tonight. So this is the date set for public hearing on the annual project plan for the Transportation Benefit District for the year 2021. I move that open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to open the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing is now open. City Clerk Sol, is there any comments towards the public hearing?
None that were emailed to me, Mayor.
Thank you. With that,
With that, I move that we close the public hearing.
motion was made and seconded to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is now closed.
Okay. And moving on to our reports and communications. First, we have a report from Public Works and Corporation Council recommending that the City Council authorize the mayor to execute a mutual extinguishment of mineral rights between Quinault Indian Nation and the City of Aberdeen for Grace Harbor tax parcel number 010103300601, 701 East Market Street. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Short, did you have a concern?
Yes, my comment is I appreciated the fact that they give that nice big long parcel number, but then gave us the street address or some identifying number name so that we knew what they were talking about. That hasn't always happened in the past.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Kennedy?
Yeah, part of the discussion we had on this particular item is that the mineral rights on this property really are something that the city would never be able to use without some very extraneous permitting, and the cost of doing anything with those would just be not beneficial to the city. And really the main reason this is being presented is that the Quinault Indian Nation is changing the underlying ownership into a trust, and it just makes that process go a bit smoother for them. The actual use of the property is not going to change. This is just that part of the property where the gas station is that they are using for storage of a lot of their overstock and that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. Was there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries.
Okay, next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the mayor shall be authorized to sign the agreement with the Grace Harbor Stream Team for $16,658.68 that would be paid from the Stormwater Capacity Grant. The agreement will be in effect from January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Second.
I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Kennedy?
Just for clarification, I know we had to clarify this last year, but this is not the organization that our council member Joshua Francie runs, which is Clean Streams and Means, though he does volunteer time to help this particular organization. He is not receiving any monetary funds from them or anything. So just wanted to make sure that we restated that clarification. But this is a great program and helps keep our streams clean.
Thank you. Anyone else? John Mackey, did I see you have your hand up?
No, I was grabbing a pop.
There you go.
Excuse me, thank you. I was just
Okay.
grabbing something to drink.
Okay, seeing no other comments, all in favor of this report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The report is adopted.
Okay, next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the city shall submit for a local bridge program replacement grant for up to $11 million for the North Aberdeen Bridge replacement, and the city engineer shall be the city's authorized agent for the grant submission. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Kennedy.
Just so for people that haven't read the actual report, this particular bridge is the bridge that connects Market and Young Streets across the Wishkah River. It has really done its service and is in really dire need of replacement, especially with the type of traffic that goes over it. There have been signs put up to mention the load limitations of the bridge. But we really need to get this bridge replaced so that we can support the traffic that really needs to be going over it.
Any other discussion? Councilmember Francie.
This is the North Aberdeen Bridge, and it's also known as the Kurt Cobain Bridge. I have seen tourists there from around the world. And I just want to say that while we need to replace the bridge, that some of the historical aspects of it should be saved just for tourists.
Good point. Councilmember Richrod.
I mentioned in the meeting yesterday that Councilmember Francie's concern was echoed by others, and been underneath that bridge, and there are messages to Kurt and Nirvana in languages from around the world. And former Mayor Simpson mentioned one time that there was talk of maybe moving the sign on the highway. You might remember this, Mayor, moving a sign on the highway that pointed to the Kurt Cobain Park, and he got emails from Holland and Germany and Britain and Canada and all over the world, don't touch our sign. And I think there's probably a real strong feeling towards somehow touching back on the historic aspect of that bridge in the replacement of it. And, we get a new bridge that will be up to code, but the historical remembrances and stuff will be considered as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. The report is adopted.
All right. Moving on, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall authorize the mayor to sign the appropriation grant contract for the installation of pedestrian lighting on the Chehalis River Bridge. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Any discussion? Under discussion? Yay.
Yeah.
It's another one of them things we've been working on for a long time. Anything else? Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall authorize the Public Works Director to execute an agreement with HDR for $276,014.77 for consultant services related to project management for the North Shore Levee project. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Kennedy.
Just wanted to say Chris Koski, went over a bit of this in his presentation today. And this is just going to bring somebody on that can, really help move this project forward and provide the expertise and assistance that our city needs to make this thing happen.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The report is adopted.
All right, next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall pass a resolution setting February 24th, 2021 as the date for the public hearing to receive comments on the 2021 Stormwater Management Plan to fulfill a requirement of the Western Washington Phase 2 Municipal Stormwater Permit. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Any discussion? Councilmember Kennedy.
So this was actually one of the reports that I instigated the hyperlink commentary under new business because a few people didn't know where to find the stormwater management plan documentation, which is on the city's website, so you can find it. I don't have the exact location, but if anybody has any problems finding it, I'm sure that myself or Rick Sanger can help you find it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The report is adopted.
All right, and we have a resolution tonight. We have a resolution setting the date for a public hearing on the annual project plan for the 2021 Stormwater Management Plan. I move that we accept this resolution.
Second.
Mayor Shave, you're muted.
I don't know how I got muted. Motion was made and seconded to set February 24th as the date for the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The report is adopted.
Resolution number 2021-06.
Thank you.
And that is all from Public Works.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety Committee Chair Andrews, do you have a report for us?
I do. Public safety met this evening. And I will just dive right in, and I'm not going to worry about screen sharing because that seems to screw me up. So first we'll go with the fire department. So Monica Myers was hired as our fire service specialist, and she's been doing a really great job. And one thing she's been doing is going door to door in selected neighborhoods, installing smoke detectors in homes that need them. To date, they've installed smoke detectors in 14 different homes. So they've all been provided by the American Red Cross, and they're currently targeting neighborhoods that experienced a residential fire, because generally when there's a fire in a neighborhood, that brings everybody's awareness up, and sometimes they have better luck getting people to install their smoke alarms. But if somebody has a need and would like to schedule an appointment to have them come in and check yours out, or maybe you need a new one, you can call the Aberdeen Fire Department's Fire Service Specialist at 360-537-3265 to schedule an appointment. Most likely you're going to get her voicemail, but leave a message, she'll call you back. So that's 360-537-3265. So there is an agenda item, 2 agenda items that the fire department wanted to touch on tonight. There's a report from Public Safety and the Community Development Director recommending the City Council authorize an additional $60,000 for the completion of space needs assessment. Now, we approved $40,000 for both the fire and the police. Now, the extra $60,000 for the fire department tonight, that'll get them up to bond ready. So the report that comes out will be bond ready. So if we want to take that to go out for bond, that report will be complete. The police department, they're not at that bond ready point. They're doing phase 1, but eventually they're going to come back and ask us for a little more money to get theirs bond ready as well. And there's a report from the RFA Planning Committee and the fire chief recommending the mayor be authorized to sign an executive letter of representation with Brian Smear to provide legal advice to the RFA Planning Committee. And he's going to review the RFA plan, RCWs, and all that kind of stuff. This isn't the labor agreement that Councilwoman Ross mentioned in the committee of the whole. This is just for the RFA plan and the RCWs. Hoquiam's already approved their part. It's probably going to cost us around $10,000, which would be $5,000 per city. So that is all from fire. Police department. So on the agenda tonight for police, there's a purchase of 2 rifles and a 40mm less lethal launcher. So there's a less lethal shotgun in everybody's vehicle. And the recommendation is that you don't shoot those within 20 feet. And these rifles are a crushable styrofoam blue nose launch, and that they can fire those at 5 feet, up to 20 feet. And so, or sorry, up to 120 feet. So they need a couple of these. And it's coming out of what's considered the suspense funds. So there's a fund of money that they collect from, drug seizures and such like that. There's about $400,000 in there, but they have very, very specific rules what they can spend that money on. And, they also pay out of that fund, they pay for 1/3 of the drug task force and 1/3 of the support person for that. Future later on, they're looking at maybe, getting a narcotics canine officer from those funds, but that'll be down the road. So if you've seen on their Facebook page, they hired Austin Kane as the newest entry-level police officer. He grew up here locally, graduating from Montesano High School and Grace Harbor College, and they're hoping to send him up to the Police Academy in April of this year. They're back up and doing classes in person. So last week, the Aberdeen Revitalization movement donated over $5,800 to the police department bicycle unit. The donation will be used to purchase 2 fully equipped electric bikes that bike patrol officers will use later on when it gets warmer. As you guys all have seen, the mass vaccination is going on. APD officers and the VIPs have been assisting, directing traffic. All of that is just, it's probably going to go on for more weeks, if not months. For the month of January, the VIPs logged 85 hours of time for the police department. And as the chief said, Catherine Powell, she's a great lady. Met her. She loves working in the office and helping them out. She's accounted for 45 hours of that time on herself. I volunteered with her at the health department, where we made phone calls, and I did a lot of time on a spreadsheet, but we helped out. February time will be substantially higher because every clinic that they've had, 1 or 2 of our VIPs have been out there helping. Right now we have 16. We're about ready to add another. It brings up to 17, and there's a perspective going through the background. We wanted to mention that it's getting really, really cold the next few days. Our normal February cold snap coming on. So the cold weather station is open at the Middle Swansons 7 days a week from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So if you know of anybody who needs shelter, we'd like to send them there. And then the fire chief wanted to remind us that with wind chills and everything else, please bring your pets inside. I know they have fur, but not for our kind of weather. It's supposed to get really, really cold. So please bring those pets inside. All righty. I think we can go to our agenda items now. Let me bring up the agenda. Alrighty, so our first report from Public Safety and Community Development Director recommending that the City Council authorize an additional $60,000 for the completion of a space needs assessment and building programs for 2 new fire facilities and authorize the mayor to sign a contract with TCA not to exceed $100,000. I move we accept this report.
Rich Rod, second.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, I was noticing that the documents for this say that the project does not need to be LEED certified, which I would agree with. But because we're talking about public safety facilities and that they're brand new buildings, I'd like the architects to consider the space needs for solar and battery backup as part of their design.
Okay. Councilmember Andrews.
Council, Community Development, Lisa Scott and Tom Hubbard, Fire Chief Tom Hubbard are both on the call, Liz, so they heard those from you. And one thing I forgot to mention was that both of our fire stations were built in 1966. So they are 65 years old this year. We throw them a little party, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Anyone else? See none? Oh, Councilmember Rich Rod.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that this is, what, $60,000, and it in the end, it turns into sort of a textbook situation of we didn't do what we probably should have done 15, 20 years ago, and we put it off because we decided not to spend the money, and now we have to spend the money, but the money we have to spend is higher now than we could have, would have had to spend before. And it's putting it off is kind of a false economy, as I mentioned in the meeting. And I don't like spending that money either. But if we don't and get these new buildings up to code at least, and I really like Liz Ellis's idea of the consideration of solar panels and battery backup, alternative power like that. That's great. But we're going to have to do it anyway. So let's do it now while we can. And then we'll be good for another few decades.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And it's 55 years, not 65 years. Apparently I can't do math, since I've been up since 5.
Excuses.
I know. Sorry, Margo.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. The report is adopted.
All right, so we have a report from Public Safety and the Community Development Director recommending the City Council authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Codes Design Team for a space needs assessment and existing building evaluation for a criminal justice facility, which will include the Aberdeen Police Department, jail, and court facilities. I move we accept this report.
Rich Rod, second.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this report. Any discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
I'll just echo my previous comments that we plan ahead for the electrification of vehicles. And if there's the potential for maximizing solar power generation, that would be awesome.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? This report is adopted.
All righty, so the last one is a report from Public Safety and the Chief of Police recommending the Aberdeen Police Department be authorized to purchase 2 replacement rifles with optics and 1 40mm lethal projectile launcher at a cost not to exceed $10,525. I move we accept this report.
Rich Rod, second.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you. I was just reading through the report and I noticed that it mentions optics, and I was curious if these will also have sound suppression devices on them as well. I remember from the trip out to the gun range, we got to experience shooting one of the police rifles that was suppressed and one that wasn't. And there was some safety concerns brought up from, officers having to fire these and potentially, having some hearing loss. So it'd be really nice to see our department start deploying suppression if that's something we can do.
Chief Schumate?
Yes, thank you, Councilman Kennedy. At this point, it does not include the suppression. Like for instance, the rifle itself, that rifle alone is just over $2,000. The optics are actually even more expensive. But that is something that I certainly can inquire with. This was the recommendation that came from our force training unit with respect to that.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Chief Schumate, could you tell us what the optics involve? I mean, I think of optics and my glasses, but what are we looking at here?
Well, so the two rifles, so those are marksman rifles. So they're not the standard. So our patrol rifles are the Daniel Defense M4s. These marksman rifles are the Daniel Defense Delta 5 Pro 308s. Those are meant to be even more accurate. And so they are red dot sights that, and I don't know the length of how far out, but we need our marksmen to be extremely accurate. And so, and we tend to stick with Delta, the Daniel Defense Delta, because we have 4 armors within the police department for which can work on and maintain our firearms. And if we didn't go with that brand, then we would have to seek outside assistance on that. So hopefully did that answer your question?
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The report is adopted.
That's it from public safety.
Thank you. Special agenda items, Council President Shaw.
Mayor Shave, we don't have any public hearings tonight under special agenda items, but as our report number 1, I would turn over to Councilmember Ross to present.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a report from the Ad Hoc City Council Committee on Fire Cooperative Services and the Fire Chief recommending that the City Council authorize Mayor Shave to execute a letter of representation with Brian Snorer to provide legal advice to the Central Grace Harbor Regional Fire Authority Planning Committee with costs anticipated to be shared equally with the City of Oakland. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The report is adopted.
Mayor Shave?
Yes.
Council, we have a report from the Parks Director recommending that the City Council approve the accession of a portion of the historic lone tree, Swift's Brookfield 2-pound cheese box donated by Len and Jan Lar into the city's museum collection. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion, sorry, I was smiling. 2-pound cheese box. Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Council Member Kennedy.
Just because I got to ask, does it still have any cheese in it?
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I hope not. Antique cheese is not something we need. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The report is adopted.
Mayor Shave?
Yes, Council President Shaw.
We have a report from the Parks Director recommending that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign the Second Amendment to easement for use of parcel number 0146 0800901 with a term end date of December 31, 2021. My cursor was on there. I don't think I got the parcel number right, but it's in the record correctly.
A second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion?
What are we talking about, Mr. Mayor? That was me.
A report recommending that the city council authorize the mayor to sign the Second Amendment to easement for use of a parcel number with a term end date of December 31st, 2021. I'm looking for the report. I still had
Park.
council.
Garley Park. It's Garley Park.
There you go.
Garley Park.
I still had my screen on the rolls of artificial turf.
And I apologize. My cursor was kind of flipping and I was going to add Garley Park and I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Council President Shaw.
Yes, we have an informational report. Usually you do this one. I'm not sure how I got off base here. I'm sorry. But we do have an informational report. No action, just a reminder that former council member David Haviland has resigned via email, effective immediately on January 25th. And under city and state law, the city council members are charged with replacing a vacancy. So all interested voters from Ward 1 should provide letters of interest along with a resume to Mayor Shave by Friday, March 5th, 2021, to allow the city council to review and make a selection for a qualified person to fill the vacancy.
Thank you.
So I believe that will bring us to the end of our special agenda items, Mayor.
Thank you. City Council comment period. Is there any council members have comments? Councilmember Andrews, I seen your hand first.
Well, I know we had a couple of public comment this evening, and I just wanted to. So they mentioned the Quinault the Quinault putting in the facility, which I'm for. But I just want to say that organization that didn't really come directly to the city council because they met and followed all of the licensing requirements and such like that. So as such, we didn't make that decision, but I support any business that comes into town, and I do support that one. And then we had another comment about the city council, and you know what? We've been doing these Zoom meetings for almost a year now, and I just, all of us have been showing up every time. We're all prepared. We all got our stuff going on, and we're all at home. So, when you're at home, we got the dog. I got my new dog. You guys all know I got a new dog because my new dog's been in my lap like a lot. And he's whining at me right now. But we also have our families around us. So no, we don't usually talk to people. My husband's not usually home, but every so often he is. But I talk to my dog a lot. But I think everybody's been handling themselves really well. So I just wanted to say that I congratulate us. You've all been doing a great job. Thank you.
And it's not actually as easy as you'd think doing a Zoom meeting. The lack of personal participation really has an effect. And you guys are all been doing real awesome getting through this. Anyone else on the council? Councilmember Kennedy. I see other hands too.
Thank you very much. I want to parrot a little bit of what Councilmember Andrews said, in that, yes, we are all at home. And also, what you just said, Mayor Shave, we all are looking forward to being able to, hold council sessions in person again. But the reality of the situation is we just can't do that safely. And we can't do that until we have a lot more people vaccinated and a lot more people following the masking rules and, being good citizens and good neighbors and helping to protect each other and get us through this pandemic. And then we can meet in person. As for professionalism, I think our council is actually very professional. And yeah, we might crack a joke every so often. I can't count the number of meetings I've been in very professionally where people always crack jokes. And those are some of the most productive meetings I've been in, where people are relaxed, their minds are at ease, and they're ready to do the job that they're there for. We come into the council meetings to do the job of the city. And, we're all here to do it. And, I bring some tea. Somebody else might bring, a snack or something. I would much rather have one of my fellow council members or even somebody else in the audience have a little snack than let their blood sugar get low and, not be able to think clearly or comment clearly, or even have an episode, So I don't have a problem with any of that. And I find it, kind of ridiculous that somebody would bring that up as an issue with council when we do have so many other things that we need to be working on and are working on. And I think we got a lot of really good work done today. So everybody, please, just keep masking up, keep being safe, and we're going to continue trying to move forward and progress forward with our city, and definitely bring in new business and make things work. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Francie.
Hi, I was contacted by a local asking if there was a plan in place in case the cold weather shelter gets full. So I believe the maximum occupancy is 25 people. And
I'm not aware of what their overflow plan is, so I can't answer that.
Yeah, Joshua, it's a county program. They might reach out to the county.
Okay.
I'm in this kind of weather, if somebody's out there listening and they need to go to the cold weather shelter, which I encourage them to do, I'm sure they will be accommodated one way or another. Anyone else? Councilmember Ross.
I just wanted to bring up a question. This has come to me from a couple of different people here in our community. They would like to see charging stations for electric cars other than the Tesla stations that we currently have. And I wasn't sure, I haven't heard of the city having any plans, but I'm thinking that's something we may want to explore. Because there's a lot of people going with electric cars.
Where we're at with that now is when the city put in the parking lot where the Tesla chargers are, we also wired it for future so that we could put in the other kind of chargers.
Okay.
So there's spaces in that parking lot already wired up to add those other kind of chargers at some future point.
Okay, just takes money.
Catchment.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to tell Councilwoman Ross that maybe it might be a good thing to refer to Public Works, because I recently read that there were some grants that were awarded. And I know Chris Koski is on the phone and he seems to be very well versed in what grants are out there. So he might be able to find something for us.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I know there are some advocates on city council that drive electric vehicles, myself being one of them, and Councilmember Ellis does as well. And maybe somebody else.
Speaking of grants, there's also grants out there for solar panels, solar systems
Yes.
for commercial applications. Okay, anyone else? Councilmember Rich Rod.
Just as a sidelight to what Councilmember Ross was saying, that originally in the original plan, the Tesla was helping pay for the charging stations, and part of the deal was that the state was going to wire up for other vehicles as part of the electric highway system, electrifying the highway, and that just kind of melted away, didn't happen. But the mayor says the wiring is there, and we can find a way to put that all together so that we can charge other vehicles. And Mayor, you were mentioning something about mentioning comments on garbage and debris, and I was curious to hear what you had to say about that.
Okay, let me let Rick chime in here real quick.
I just wanted to add that there is grants available. We have applied for them and we were not awarded, but we continue to apply for any grant out there that comes through, and we have already applied for the EV charging stations.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
On the issue with the garbage, in the department head meeting, I asked staff about going back to a system like we used last year with 2 people brought on from the temp agency and provided the equipment to go around downtown and around the city hall and clean up any garbage. And in our discussion, I told them that we just can't let it go on like this. We got to bite the bullet and do it. And we're going to have to pay for it. We don't have the budget. We don't have the item budgeted. We don't have the personnel to do it. So we just got to bite the bullet, and we got to pay for it and get her done. So Parks is taken on the task of, we'll take on the task of hiring 2 people from the temp agency and providing the equipment for them for a certain amount of time, because and that funds will be up to $20,000, and that'll come out of general fund. So but Public Works stepped up and said, if we put together a little bit of plan, have a little time to put together a plan, we can take on the task. And so that means that the continual cost of temp and such will end probably in 2-3 months, when we can get everything squared away, and Public Works will take over the task and be picking up the garbage. So that's the plan. That's basically, in a nutshell, the details. And I would really like, if there's for the council to make a motion to approve those plans. So the motion would be to hire 2 temps for a total or maximum of $20,000 to work with Parks to clean up the garbage.
So
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Was there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion and a second to approve up to $20,000 to do garbage cleanup around the downtown, and hiring 2 temps. Any further discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Yeah, Mayor, just wondering where the source of funds are coming from. They're the Parks Department funds. Are they coming out of an account?
General fund.
Oh, okay.
It will be on a supplemental budget. Councilmember Andrews.
So you want to add 2 city employees?
Negative. They are 2 temp employees.
So we're going to hire a temp agency for them.
Correct. That's what we've had in the past. Stacy Barnum.
For clarification, in the past, we used Express Personnel. We had 2 people that worked on what we call downtown, the Tassel, and homeless. So they would not be city employees, it would be contracted.
Councilmember Andrews.
It's just curious because earlier this week you told the museum board that you wouldn't hire somebody for the position that the council approved, but now you want us to hire 2 temps. So
This is not even in the same ballpark. I don't know where you're going with that, but it's not at all even in the same ballpark. We're hiring 2, how did Stacy say it?
Contracted.
Contract temp employees for approximately 2, maybe 3 months. Pick up garbage. It's the same program. It'll be the same program that we used last year. The only difference is last year we had CARES Act funds and now we don't. So that's the difference.
So last year, the CARES Act footed the bill, but now we have to do it.
That's correct. Are there any other comments? Council President Shaw.
Just a quick question. So last year we had to do this, but we didn't plan to continue this year, or was there a plan that fell through? How are we planning to get this work done this year? What changed?
What's changed is when the CARES Act ended, we stopped the program and are just now getting into a new plan. Parks Director Barnum.
As Parks Director Stacy Barnum. So we use the CARES Act money mostly for the COVID-19 cleaners. We had budgeted money last year before COVID and the previous year, 2019 as well, for the contracted cleaners. And for 2021, that funding that we had budgeted before was cut out of the budget in hopes that this wouldn't be an issue. But I mean, obviously there isn't enough money to pay for everything. So this was one of the things that unfortunately got cut out of the budget. And now we're seeing some real issues with shopping carts, homeless, issues with trash, camps, clothes, using public spaces for restrooms. And those were all things that the 2 contracted employees addressed, along with cleaning up the tassel. So I just wanted to provide that clarification. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Kennedy.
So, I mean, the garbage is something that isn't going to go away, you know, and whether it's at the Tassel or, you know, around the city streets, that kind of thing. So I'm curious why we're going down the road of hiring temps rather than, you know, having, you know, like a seasonal employee type situation, you know, where they're hired on when, you know, the weather's acclimate, that kind of thing. You know, or why this isn't, you know, an actual position somewhere within the city that we're hiring you know, one or two people on.
Like I just explained, Public Works is working at doing that. And we need a couple of months to get that process complete. So we're going to utilize the program that we had last year to move forward and get this taken care of now. Thank you. Rick.
It was my proposal today was that we have a number of positions open and we need the time because we're going to fill those positions and we anticipate filling from within. These are promotions, these are leadman positions. As we fill from within, it will create openings in Public Works. And our idea was to take the time and come up with a job description that makes sense. And instead of hiring an inline person for the field crews, to hire somebody that works specifically cleaning up garbage and doing the things to make our community look better. When we drive through and you see that stuff on the street, that's still within the right of way. It's never been a part of Public Works to go and do that type of work, but I think I can make the justification that it's still within the right of way and it makes sense, even though it's not a in the street improvement per se, it's still an improvement. So that's where we're at. That's the proposal that I talked to the mayor about, and he was interested in seeing if we could make it work, and that's where we're at. So
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Also, let's see, I wanted to make mention that tomorrow, Greater Grace Harbor will go live with the small business grant. In case you weren't aware of that, which is good news. And I also was talking with the street department and asked them about their reader boards, if they got the new reader boards yet, because I was suggesting to them that we try them out and put some information on them about the how to get your appointment for your COVID vaccine. Because there's a lot, I was contacted by some older folks that don't even have computers, let alone savvy how to use a computer. And right now, the bulk of the information to get your COVID vaccine appointment is via computer. So I asked if we could put some information on the reader board and try it out and move it around, or however around the city, whatever it takes. It's better than nothing. And they said, it's funny you just happened to bring that up, because we just got our old reader board all fixed up and ready to go. We're just waiting for the paint to dry, and we'll get that out there and make it happen. So the new reader boards aren't actually here yet, but they got one of the old ones up and running and repainted, and we're going to work on getting that out there. Rick.
the new variable message reader boards are here.
Oh, they just came in.
Yes, and the reason that we had to paint it was we were painting the supports that we had to fabricate. So they are in, they're installed in the trucks, they're not wired. We will be able to accommodate the mayor probably by Friday, and we will put up a message that says COVID-19 information, vaccine information, with an email address and a phone number. And another reason why it's taking a little time is they're not geared to sit all day. They're actually, the truck would have to run. So we're adding, at a cost of, I think, $300, some deep cell batteries so that they can run all day without having to run the motor, and then we'll just bring them in and charge them at night. So
So I thought that was pretty cool, and I really appreciate Public Works for stepping up and taking that on as well. And that's all I have. Is there anything else from the council? Council President Shaw?
I think I mentioned during the workshop that we have a request. Does the council want to have a workshop next week to hear from the potential developers of the mark from Forterra that has been trying to put something together on the mark? They would like to come and share with you where they're at and have a conversation about the future of the project.
Are you saying next Wednesday workshop?
The 17th, yes, that's the request. And
Okay.
I didn't want to just schedule it without seeing if we already had a workshop. I didn't want to just schedule it without seeing whether the council's up for another one next week.
Any comments?
Well, I'd be willing to make a motion that we hold a council workshop next Wednesday, the 17th, with the group from Forterra.
Second,
Motion was made and seconded to have a workshop February 17th, being next Wednesday at
7:00,
6:45,
7:00.
7?
Margot says 7, so 7 it is.
7:00. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will have a workshop next Wednesday night, 7:00. Council President Shaw.
One other thing that for the, just to remind the council, the request or the, for in-person council meetings, we still are under the order of the governor. We still have our meetings remotely. So that request is one that we can't grant because until the governor lifts his order on remote public meetings. And the other thing that's been on my mind, it's kind of was underscored tonight, is we promised ourselves last year that we were going to really sit down and take a look at facilities and prioritize, get a list going of our facility needs. And so I'm going to be giving it some thought and maybe talking with the mayor and Lisa Scott about bringing something to the council to maybe more formally give a bigger picture view of the facilities needs that keep coming to us, and they're coming at us rapidly this year. So it would be nice to collect, have a more collective view on that. I hope that's okay. Because it looks like that little pot of money we got sitting out there is going to go real quick, and we didn't want to nickel and dime it. We wanted to have a plan. So.
Okay. Is there anything else from council? Are we having are we going to go to executive session, Council President Shaw?
Yes, we are. If we're done with council comment period, I would like to move that we go into recess for an executive session to last not longer than 30 minutes to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member of the acting in official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. There may be action after the session.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to go into executive session or to recess to executive session. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we will recess for 30 minutes for executive session.
Is there another link for this?
Yes.
Yes, it went out today in your email and on your calendar.
I'll find.
Council in executive session has requested an additional 10 minutes, which will put it at 10:10 PM for their expected arrival.
believe we're still waiting for 2 council members.
I think so.
So,
So should we just go ahead, Mayor?
yes, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna reconvene the meeting and, all in favor of reconvening, say aye.
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 Any opposed? So we are reconvened. Recess is over. And it is 10:05 right now.
Recess.
Mayor Shave,
Yes.
I would offer a motion that the city obtain an outside review of its complaint process, citizen action request process, and for review for enforcement of our building and development codes and land use regulations with an eye on procedures and controls.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. Is there any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Is there any other business of the council?
Only that I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next week.
Next Wednesday, same time, same station.
There you go. Mayor Shave, I move we adjourn.
Motion was made and
Second.
seconded to adjourn. If there's no objection, I will adjourn the meeting at this time. See you all next week.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Night.
Stay healthy.